This is Lola, a hard-working woman from Los Angeles and a wine company executive. On her left is Hamish, Lola's friend, who suggests her to go to Sydney and set up a contract with a famous wine distributor called Hazel Vaughn. He also reveals that Vaughn Wines does not have an importer in United States. Hamish was going to put all his restaurants, just if she could make the deal possible. Next day, she was more than ready to go to Sydney. Inside their office, she meets her colleague and have a little chit-chat with her until her rude boss comes to her and praise her work as compared to any other person in the office. He leaves after reminding of her next assignment. She reveals to her friend about Vaughn Wines when she insists to tell her about it. Same night, she comes to her father's house for the dinner. This is Carlos. Her father, John, and Diana are his friends. Even they begin to ask her about her love life and reveals that she had divorced 2 years ago. After dinner, Carlos suggests her to start a new love life since she put a stop in her love life when Tyler, her ex, broke up with her. Next day, upon reaching office, Lola sees her colleague giving presentation about Vaughn Wines, to which Lola was shocked, and it gets even worse when the boss chooses Audra to go to the Sydney with him and probably give her a promotion if she gets the deal. Upon him getting a call and leaving the meeting, she confronts him that she told Audra about the Vaughn Wines and she deserved to go Sydney, not her, but he did not listen. Inside the meeting room, she reveals that she was tired of all the nonsense and selfishness his boss always threw at her, so she finally leaves the job for good. Lola has decided to open her own company called Salad Imports. She really needed a big account and needed Vaughn family to grow her firm bigger. Lola figures out that Vaughn Wines has an Airbnb cottage, so her plan is to live in there as a guest and somehow find a perfect moment to pitch her company to Hazel. Even though her father thought it was far, still motivates and support her with her idea right after. Not so long after, we see Lola coming to Sydney at the farm of Vaughn wine owners. Upon arrival, she meets a man who offered to help her, but brutally falls off with heavy baggage and leaves along with taxi. While exploring and looking around the house, a man named Max finally walks in from the door and asks her if she was looking for a combination to the safe, while being sarcastic. He was willing to show her the cottage. Max tells her to take selfies in cottage or do anything she likes, but do not bother Hazel Vaughn. One of their workers comes in the way and reveals about the man, who previously left along with the cab. He worked on the farm, but he could not handle the stress. Right after she sees the woman called Hazel Vaughn and proceed to explain and pitch about her new company. Hazel was not impressed and told her that she wasted her flight if the reason was this. While their worker left the job, Lola hears about it and asks them if she could work instead. After some hesitation, she finally gets the opportunity to work. Max was in charge to teach her all about protocols and work she had to do. Lola was about to be given grunt work, hard yakka and chores. Before beginning fence mending work, he make her aware of the kangaroos too. Hearing this, she was excited to meet them, but he assures her that they will probably punch her flat on her back. In the middle, the truck stops working. Max could not believe she was not carrying any hat or shoes for the land, so he gives his own hat to her. Max tells her to not get her hopes up about the contact, and we see her in the cottage where she meets 3 students. Suddenly they hear someone shouting and she reveals she used all the hot shower, and right after, she uses her charger and short-circuit the system. In the morning, her cottage mates tells her to sit with them, but little did she know they were pranking her. Suddenly, Max arrives and asks her if she was ready. We can see him telling her the process of bending the metal wire. She had started working and sees a sheep and try to feed her food, but it was not something she was good at. Lola also failed to exclude the red-tagged sheeps from the other ones. Later, her eye catches Hazel and begins to praise her for her nice boots and ask if she want her to import some bottles, but she was not interested. Later, after Max and her conversation ends, she walks out, where suddenly Max picks her up since there was a brown snake and they have a silent moment. After cleaning the toilet, she wakes up the next morning and goes ready to work. At work, she does something stupid and makes Hazel very angry. She did not have much choice and get ready to leave Sydney. She asks Max to go take her to the airport and they proceed to go into his old truck. The truck once again starts to act weird and stops in the middle. Both proceed to walk, where she reveals that Australia probably hates her. But Max thinks a bit different and speaks some motivational quotes. Lola reveals about her father, how his father Carlos was her role model and inspiration her whole life, and the way she ended up working in a large firm she used to work in. At night, she wakes up and reads the book on Hazel Vaughn's family's history and smiles. Next morning, Lola had fixed the hot water problem that students were facing, hence making their day, and they also accepts her in their team, while gifting her new shoes and clothes. At breakfast, she reveals to Max that she was going to stay. She tells him about the book she read last night and was motivated due to that. He also gifts her a cowboy hat, and Lola was also surprised because he had an idea that she will stay. Back in Los Angeles, in office, Audra was getting stressed out by the demands of her boss. We can see Lola sneaking in to watch Max while he was working. In the evening, While sitting with the whole group, Max started to play his guitar, where Lola begins to sing as well. Everyone was charmed after hearing her beautiful voice and enjoyed every bit of it. It was probably the most heartwarming moment they all had felt in a while, and they started to sing the song along with her. Next morning, she was sitting with Henry eating breakfast, where he tells her how he was enjoying here while working. Basically, it was having a work and life balance. Max also tells her that she just got her promotion. He saw her and the old sheep having a bond, but he explains to her how the sheep was going to be next Sunday's dinner, but she assures the sheep that she won't let anything happen to her. She started to go well with her cottage mates and enjoying working with them. Otter also gets to know that Lola is in Australia. At night, Lola reveals to her mates about her ex-boyfriend and relationship. She walks outside and finds Max sitting ready to swim in Hazel's pool. He dares her to get into the pool and she agrees. They are smiling at each other while catching each other's eyes. Suddenly Hazel comes and smiles after looking at them. Next morning was the biking time, but Max wasn't confident in Lola, but she surprised him showing how she rides the bike. He was amazed and calls her a pro. Max tells her about his past, how he used to be an angry guy and destructive, but later when he finds out about his mother had cancer. Max was spending more time in town than her bed until he finally realized and became a good man, but it was too late. Lola tells Max that she does not want the sheep to be taken away, and soon they reach a beautiful location, a waterfall. Back in the office, Audra was given instructions by her boss since he figured out where Lola was. Later on, Lola was being asked to have a drink by her cottage mate, and they begin to dance and have lots of fun. The environment was more positive than ever and it felt like heaven on earth. They also end up betting on a dart game with a middle-aged man. On the other hand, it is revealed that Hazel is Max's sister and she wants him to explore outside world and not just stuck up in Australia. Max like it here, but she explains how she saw him and Lola in the pool. He thinks very positively of her, to which she smiles. Hazel asks Max if he was about to tell Lola about his feelings, but he denies telling anything to anyone. While inside the bar, the middle-aged man was writing his score right. A fight begins between the people out there. The bar fight goes on for a good minute until Lola whistled and the bar owner stopped everyone. Later on, he was complaining about this to Max, how they were making life hard for him, but Max pays him the money to sort things out. While Lola was drunk, she ends up asking what Max think of her. He slowly proceeds to sit beside her. She asks if she was happy, to which he reveals how he had something to tell her. Seeing how drunk she was, does not open his mouth and takes her out of there. Very next day, Max walks in to sit with her at breakfast table, where she was embarrassed about last night, but Max thought it was fine. He asks her out on camping the same night and she packs her bags. They also go into the Vaughn family factory, where she tastes their wine. The worker also offers to open an expensive wine, but it would cost around $200, to which she denies. She still have no idea that Max is brother of Hazel Vaughn and basically owns the whole company. For some reason, he is hesitant on telling her about the reality. Later, Max confronts Lola when she said he felt lonely. He begins to explain how being a loner was his excuse to play it safe and not fall in love. They also see a small kangaroo and she takes her picture. It is the right time, where she was drawing and reveals a new idea to pitch Hazel about her company. She talks about his mother, Hazel's mother Cybella, as an inspiration. Max was about to open his mouth, revealing about his mother, but she starts speaking and we are moved to the scene where they end up having a romantic moment. In the morning, he reveals that he is Max Vaughn. After hearing his words, she started to confuse herself, but he assures her that he is a silent investor and no one knows about his reality, other than Hazel and now her. Lola gets very angry at him and stays upset. When they arrive back, she is met with her ex-boss, who came back to hire her back to his company called Mythons and even promote her to a higher position. However, she denied going back on work and wish Hazel good luck. Hazel also confronts Max about him revealing his truth a bit too late. Her colleague talks to Lola and apologizes to her for her actions. Lola walks and meets her favorite old sheep and says her goodbye. Back in her cottage, all her mates share a newly stolen wine. Lola also gives back their belongings. She meets Max before leaving for America. They have a small emotional talk where Max lets her go. It has been several months and Lola has finally set up her office. Her friend reveals that Mythons, her former company, and Vaughn family parted ways. She also asks if she even tried calling Max, but she did not. In a few days, in the wine promotion, Max surprisingly shows up. He reveals her old sheep was missing her back in Australia, but truthfully reveals that he had made a mistake back then by letting her go. We can see them all enjoying a wedding and having the time of their life in the end. I hope you like this video. Please support us by hitting the like button.